So good morning. Today is Zayin Adar Sheini. We're coming out of the magical energy of Purim and Shushan Purim, and hopefully we will keep on using this special transformational energy of Purim throughout the year, and especially through the rest of Adar Sheini, where we can really utilize the opportunity to increase Simcha even more as the month unfolds. And then we will be ready for Nisan, Nisim, and Yetziat Mitzrayim, and alle gute Sachen. Right now, we are in Shaar Hayichud on page 248, Ois Chaf Aleph, where we are going after understanding that the Iskalelus of Atzilus is possible because in Atzilus the Spheros are going out of their essential state, which is their state in Tohu, and when they are Behispashtus, then there can be inter-inclusion, and that helps us to understand the general Iskalelus of the three lines of the Spheros of Atzilus: Chachan, Baga, and Dati. Chachan, Chochma, Chesed, Netzach from the right; Baga, Bina, Gvura, and Hod, Mismol from the left; and Dati, Das, Tiferes, and Yesod, Be'emtza, in the middle. So then the Rebbe begins to explain how this dynamic of three kavim is created, the three lines, and it all begins in Keser. But in Pnimius HaKeser, says the Rebbe, which is basically the vision, there is no chalukah yet, there is no division yet to three lines in the inner aspect of Keser. It's all one. It's only in Chitzonius HaKeser, in the external aspect of Keser, that the beginning of his Chalkus to three kavim, three lines, starts. And that specifically from Chochma Shebekeser. Now that we have three kavim, we already understood that Atzilus is the ultimate reality of the Iskalelus between these three kavim, and especially the Iskalelus between the Kav Yamin and the Kav Small. How is it all possible that the right should merge and blend and cooperate with the left? It's possible through Kav Imtzai, the middle line, because it is through the middle line that the other two extreme outer lines can merge and can interreact and interblend. And then the Rebbe begins to describe the dynamic of the flow in the spheres, and says that if you are focusing on the Kav Yamin, you will see on the right line, you will see that the Chesed is Anaf, is a branch of Chochma, and we will see now what does it mean, a branch of Chochma, and it's really separate from Chochma. Chesed is not Chochma. Chesed, even though it's under Chochma, it's not Chochma, it's separate, and it is a midah that is born out of the fact that the moichin, the intellect, leans towards Chesed in something else that it relates to, Davar HaMokav. And so to Netzach. Netzach is a branch of Chesed, separate from Chesed. So Chesed is the wish to mashpia, and Netzach is something separate. Netzach just is about carrying it out. And so too the Kav Small. Each one, starting from Bina and then Gvura and then Hod, Each one is a branch of the one above it. And then we began Ha'ara 26 to focus more about this dynamic within the lines of Atzilus. And that is in Contrasting of the Mitzler Rebbe, page Reish Chaf Ches, that's Ha'ara 26, footnote 26. And there the Rebbe is telling us about Yesod, and the fact that the Midas HaYesod is called Lebar Migufa, outside of the body. Is known that Yesod Bechlal. Let's follow what the text says here. That Yesod Bechlal is at the end of Kava Emtzai. The Yesod is at the bottom of the middle line of Dati, Das Tiferet Yesod. Das, Kolel, Das includes in it Chesed and Gvura, and Tiferet also is including Chesed and Gvura, which means you can have Chesed and Gvura in your mind, and you can have Chesed and Gvura in your emotions. And so Yesod is also including Chesed and Gvura of Netzach and Hod, because Netzach is a branch of Chesed and Hod is a branch of Gvura. So what do we find? We find that in Yesod there is the final and the ultimate meziga, the ultimate blending, because the blending begins in Das, the blending between the two, the merging between the two lines, whatever proportion it is, the interaction and an inter-inclusion between the two lines, the two opposite lines, begins in Das, that creates a bridge between Chesed and Gvura of the mind, of the Moichin, and then it continues with Tiferet, which creates a blend between the midos of Chesed and Gvura, how much to love and how much to reject, to hate. And then Yesod is the last blending and Iskalelus, after all the blending and Iskalelus of Das and Tiferet and Netzach and Hod, Bepnimius Bechitzonius, the Rebbe says. Bepnimius Bechitzonius. Every sphere has its Pnimius and Chitzonius. Like every Midah has its Pnimius Bechitzonius. The Midah of Chesed, its Pnimius is love. The Midah of Gvura, the behavior, the measure of Gvura, its Pnimius is Yira, fear. Ava and Yira. The Pnimius of Tiferet, what's the Pnimius of Tiferet? Rachamim, mercy, compassion. The Pnimius of Netzach, Bitachon. What's the Pnimius of Hod?
Bitul?
Thankfulness.
Humility.
Acknowledgement, yeah. So so Yesod is like, the Rebbe here will describe the dynamic of the divine flow between the midos like a scale. I remember many years ago, I used to go to, I lived in Haifa for a while in Eretz Yisrael, Eretz HaKodesh. And downstairs there was a yarkan, there was a vegetable guy that had a little store, and he had this scale that I don't know how exact they were, but he had this old scale, and first he put whatever I bought on one side, and he started to put his metal things that they were old, and I don't know how well exact they were. And at first there was the scale was like roughly going from one side to the other until and more weighing this way, that way, this way, that way, this way. Chesed, Gvura, Chesed, Gvura, Chesed, Gvura, Chesed, Gvura, until it's even. Decision is made. And so that's what happens in every stage. In the mind, in the middle, in the Netzach and Hod. And you saw this, the last one of this weighing, of the Ashpa itself. The Rebbe will describe it. Bepnimius and Bechitzonius. And the explanation is, from our own psychology, we can see that Das is the bridge, is the memutza, is the intermediary between the two moichin of Chochmah and Bina, which are the two crowns of Chesed and Gvura. So Das includes Chesed and Gvura of Avaim, and therefore the Das can sometimes lean this way and sometimes like a scale, and sometimes lean that way, in various ways. And in every leaning, and in every behavior of Das, there is always a certain meziga and iskalelus, a certain blending, meziga, mezig, mem zayin gimel, is a blending. Limzog also means to pour, but also means, lemazeg means, limzog means to pour, lemazeg means to blend. So, meziga and iskalelus, blending and inter-inclusion, in many ways. And in all of them, it's always two opposites. And the Rebbe says, the ultimate expression of iskalelus of Atzilus is when you have davar and hipucho in one thing. Not that you have either this or that, either chesed or gvura, but they are in two separate situations. You can have one situation that can be looked at and experienced in two opposite ways, as the Rebbe gave the example of Ki Yetzer Lev Ha'adam Ra Mine'orav, that the inclination of human being is evil. My microphone got stuck in my sweater. 1 second, please. That the Yetzer Lev Ha'adam, that the inclination of human being is Ra Mine'orav, is evil, is bad from Ne'orav, from Misha'a shenin'ar mim'ei imo, says Rashi. Ne'orav, from his youth, human being has a Yetzer Hara. So, for this reason, God made two opposite decisions. One is, let me erase the humankind, to human beings, because the Yetzer Lev Ha'adam is Ra from the beginning, from his youth. So let me erase and create a new humanity, which Moshe Rabbeinu did not cooperate with that plan, and that is actually Moshe didn't cooperate with that plan regarding Chet HaEgel. This example is brought regarding Mei Noach, the Mabut. Yes, but it's for the same reason the Hashem, the Eibishter, decides actually to be kind to human beings and forgiving, because Yetzer Lev Adam Ra Mine'orav, from his youth he is battling with Yetzer Hara, with evil inclination, and he is not to blame for it. This is how he is made, and therefore I shouldn't be so harsh with human beings, and I should enable them to have the opportunity to do tshuva and to be rachaman and merciful. This is where more or less where we got to last time, that everything can have, even davar so far, the iskalelus of Atzilus can go, that in one thing you can have davar veipucho, one perspective and an opposite perspective. Why? Because in Atzilus everything has its menaged. In Gvura you will find Chesed. In Chesed you will find Gvura. Everything in Atzilus has something from its opposite. And therefore iskalelus is ultimate, and it's ultimately possible in various ways, in really infinite, unlimited ways, in amount and quality and quantity of different types of iskalelus. We are in the line of Reish Chaf Ches in the He'ara 26, the post, what I posted on the chat. The line that starts Hamenaged Elav Dafka, Davar V'Hipucho, we say one thing and the opposite. וזהו עיקר עניין ההסקללוס והמזיג כידוע. Page Reish Chaf Ches, like 6 lines from the bottom. And the end of the line that starts Hamenaged Elav. And this is the main thing of Iskalus, because in Hasidus everything is made of its opposite too. There is never a pure. In Toru you can find the sphere in its pure state, but in Hasidus it always includes its opposite. וכמו על דרך דוגמה מה שכתוב כי יצר לב האדם רע כולו. What it says that יצר לב האדם רע מנעוריו in Bereshis. על כן לא יענש. And therefore, at first, it was a reason to punish human beings, because they're evil. But for the same reason, Hashem decided not to punish them. Lo ya'anesh. Ve'af al pichen, nevertheless. So now we see the kava emtza. The rachamim. That lo ya'anesh, yet he will not live forever. Ve'af al pichen, nevertheless, he will not be punished. Nevertheless, Yiyu Yamav Kuf Chaf Chulu. The days of men will be now 120 years. So there is a decision is made, which is again kind of a weighing between Gvura and Chesed. Chesed and Gvura. In this case, Gvura or Chesed. Shall I destroy them? Shall I forgive them? Well, I'm not going to destroy them, I'm going to forgive them, but they're not going to live forever. They will live 120 years. I'll shorten their lives. V'chach yuchal, is this where we are? No. Dehainu lo lo'oncho b'mabul, not to punish people with a mabul, with a flood, l'shachato legamre, not to destroy mankind completely. V'gam lo ya'arich yamim kol kach. And at the same time, you have some gvura, he will not live so long. V'akol misechel v'ta'am echad. And all comes from one reason. Ze, v'ta'am echad ze, from this one reason, which is ki yetzer lev chulo. That the yetzer of lev ha'adam is ra mineorav. Shebo kalul davar v'hipucho ze v'dal. That includes two opposites. That one way to look at it is Yetzer Lev Adam is Ra, therefore he shouldn't exist. And the other one is Yetzer Lev Adam Ra Minurav. What do you want from him? Why are you being harsh? It's not his fault. And therefore you should consider the fact that he has two Yetzarim in him and he's struggling. And therefore you should not be so punitive. At the same time, you are not completely chesed either. You are not allowing him to live as his forefathers lived. 900 years or 800 years or 600 years, rather 120. וכך יוכל בחינת הדעת להטות השכל בכמה מזיגות והסקללות. So the da'at is able and functions in such a way that it can lean, להטות, direct the שכל בכמה מזיגות והסקללות. It can fluctuate in many types of blendings between the chesed and the gevura in the mind, and the blending of the two, midavar v'hipucho, from one thing and its opposite, liyoto b'chinas hamachriya, lebeis hadeos, the chesed u'gevura shebasechel. Because that is the one that is machriya, is the one that decides, the one that takes the verdict, makes the verdict. In the sechel, in the intellect, between chesed and gvura, how does it decide? Well, it is decided in many, kama minei, all kinds of hachraos shonot, of decisions, of different decisions. Kemo mishkal hakav shel hamoznaim, like the middle line of the scale, that can now, on top of it, now it can lean all kinds of ways, to the left or to the right, and how much to the left and how much to the right. Next page. Sheshokel behatayot shonot, the middle line of the scale weighs the two sides in various hatayot, various leanings, sometimes leaning more to the right, sometimes leaning more to the left. Depends on how the scale is fed, what interaction happens in this scale. And so too the das can be sometimes machriya more towards chesed and sometimes machriya more towards gvura. וכמו על דרך משל, like for an example, כאשר יעלה בשכל האדם לעסוק באיזה משא ומתן, שהוא טוב בעיני שכלו. And now, the Rebbe describes how this scale operates in a person's mind. The intellectual scale, which means the das, between Gvura and Chesed and Gvura, in the mind, in the Chabad. So when it comes up in the mind of a person, to invest himself in a certain business, certain deal, שהוא טוב בעיני שכלו, that says, maybe I should invest myself in this deal, in this business. So how do you approach it? A thought comes in a person's mind, it looks like a good business, maybe I should invest myself in this. הרי מיד יצא לנגדו שכל וטעם לסתור לשכל וטעם הראשון. Immediately, how does a person weigh it in his mind? Immediately comes another opinion that contradicts the first opinion that he should maybe look into investing in this business. ועושה להפך. And the second opinion comes up in his mind will oppose. שלא יבחר ויוצא בעסק זה. And will pull him to think that it's probably not good to engage in this business. שהוא לרעה ולא לטובה. Probably wouldn't be that good for me. I thought it's good, but probably it wouldn't be that good. It has this negative, this חסרונס. וזהו על ידי כוח הדעת, שמטה השכל לבית הופכיים מנגדים. And this is done, the leaning, going back and forth between the right and the left. I should do it. No, actually. But maybe I should have come. That shouldn't be. But it costs a lot of money. No, it's too much money. But maybe I should go to the bank and give me a loan. So going back and forth, weighing between the yes and no. Chesed Gvura. Between base of Chiyim, two opposites that are opposing each other. That's al yedei koach hadas. This is through the power of das that can bridge between the two and reach eventually a certain הכרעה, a certain decision between the two. ואחר כך חוזר ומטה השכל לבחור בעסק זה באופן אחר, וחוזר בסותרו בשכל מנגדו. So he keeps going back and forth. Then the Sechel says, yes, but maybe if I do this, I could invest myself in the business. But then another opposing opinion will come up again from the left and say, but what about this? You didn't even think about that disadvantage. No, you shouldn't. Stay away from it. And like this we go back and forth. ועד כמה פעמים, until many times going back and forth, מתיישב בדעתו, like the scale comes down and settles in his mind. Now he settles in his mind, מדבר להיפוכו, ממש עד שנגמר בדעתו אופן ובחינת הכרעה ממוצעת, until it will be completely resolved in his mind, a decision that will be made of the two opposites, עד שתישר בעיניו, until it will look right in his mind, in his eyes. אופן העסק שיהיה לטובה. Until it will look right for him in what way he should or shouldn't, but in this case he should, let's say, involve himself in this business so it should come out good. And now he gives another example of the das, how it operates in the mind, like a scale that weighs, goes back and forth, until there is a settled decision. וכמו כן בהשפעה השכל לתלמיד. You can understand, and we can understand, or maybe we should reflect a little bit on the fact that it's not random that the Rebbeim choose this mashal or that mashal. So one mashal I'm calling you to think and to help me to figure out one mashal of explaining the function of das in our mind, the scale that makes finds the point between chesed and gvura in the mind and gets a decision. One mashal is whether or not one and how one should engage himself in a certain business. And the other one will be now b'hashpa'at sechel latalmid. How the teacher ways how to mashpia sechel to the talmid, to the student. יש בזה גם כן בחינת יישוב הדעת ומזיגוס חסד וגבורה מדבר בהיפוכו בכמה אופנים ובחינות שונות. In this too, when a good teacher should go through a lengthy יישוב הדעת. להתיישב means when the da'at settles, but he should shokel, he should weigh very carefully between chesed and gvura, because the chesed says, I want to give everything I know to the students. And the gvura says, well, he can't, I have to hold back everything, because so I had to find the right way in kamus and echus. So there is a yishuv hadat, you have to come to the place where the da'at is now misyashev, like a scale settles, and comes to the right decision, so to speak, to the ultimate, to the resolution. B'mizigus chesed u'gvura, to blend the chesed and gvura of the hashpa'ah from davar v'hipucho in many ways and many blendings, ad sheyashpia lo ba'ofen ha'memutza, until he will find the derech hamelech, the middle way, the ultimate golden path, בהכרעה מיוחדת, in a perfect resolution, באופן שהוא טוב בעיניו, in a way that the teacher will find perfect, the best way to משפיע to the תלמיד, שבזה האופן ישפיע לו. And that it is such a manner he will משפיע to him. You can imagine how much the Rebbeim are weighing in their das, between the chesed and gevura, so the hashpa'ah, the elokus that they have to transmit to us through the maimon that we are learning now, for an example, is just transmitted in such a way that is not too much and not too little, not too high, not too low, not too deep, not too shallow, just as feeding to our minds the ability to absorb. להיות ידוע שבכל שפע קודם שישפיע המשפיע למקבל, צריך להיות בזה בית דברים, חסד וגבורה. It's known that in every shefa, in every transmission, before the משפיע transmits to the מקבל, there have to be the two things, חסד וגבורה. בחינת החסד הוא מה שרוצה להיטיב חסדו עמו, כמו שהוא לאמיתתו. דהיינו להשפיע לו השכל כמו שהוא אצלו בהרחבה גדולה מאוד. There has to be the sechel in the משפיע, meaning they wish to be kind and generous and give his mind in his most truthful way to the Talmid, and he wants to give his knowledge the way he knows it, בהרחבה גדולה, in very broad way. However, מפני שיודע צמצום כלי התלמיד המקבל, because he is aware of the limited size of the vessels of absorbance of the recipient, צריך להקטין ולצמצם בעצמו אותו השכל. He has to diminish and to concise and to reduce, to constrict in himself this concept and idea, עד שלא יהיה רק כפי ערך צמצום כלי קבלת המקבל, until it should be exactly suitable to the measure of the ability of the keli of the recipient to receive this concept. כי אם יאמר לו כמו שהוא, לא יבין כלל. Because if the משפיע will give over his knowledge and his concept the way he understands and knows it, the Talmud will not understand anything. והוא בחינת גבורוס וצמצומים. And therefore, in order for the teacher to teach well, he has to use gvuros v'tzimtzumim. And so too Hashem, the way he's mashpia, and so too the Rebbeim, the way they are mashpia. Omnam chozer u'misyashev b'da'ato. However, that's how the scales works. He has to go back and settles in his mind le'or lebchinas hachesed. Because he said, okay, I have to mitzamtzem, I have to hold back, because I cannot give him the way I know. So now I have to hide my knowledge. And then he has to go back to chesed. כי פן לא יקבל מעוצם הקיצור יותר מדי. Maybe I'm holding back too much, I have to go back to chesed and give more. וכך חוזר הדבר בדעתו כמה פעמים, בצמצום והספשטוס, באופנים שונים. And so it repeats itself in his mind many times. It depends how big the issue is, how big the ashpah is, how important it is, but it goes back and forth, chesed and gvura, צמצום holding back, הספשטוס, holding back, הספשטוס. באופנים שונים, different ways, until שמוצא בדעתו בחינת ממוצע וממוזג, בכי טוב מבייס הדברים, חסד וגבורה הנ"ל. Until he finds in his mind the perfect blend, intermediary, the perfect combination and blend that is made out of these two opposites of Chesed Gvura. Now it's a perfect combination. שבאופן זה הוא שראוי להשפיע. And in such a way, this is how one should be משפיע. שבוודאי שזה ודאי הוא לטוב. That this is sure is for the good. לפי ערך קבלת המקבל כולו בדל. According to the ערך of how the מקבל can receive. This was Das. That's how the scale works in the mind. והנה now, כמו כן במידות שבלב, the midos in the heart. This was in the mind, the moichin. The Das in the moichin. I should lean this way, what should I think? This way, that way. How shall I mashpia? This way, that way. Shall I give up? It's all a weighing in the mind. Now comes the midos, the heart. מידות שבלב, שנולדים מן הדעת, את הבון פום דעת, אחר שבירר הדבר באופן פרטי, until he clarified this matter in a specific way, שכלול מחסד וגבורה שבשכל, which thus is included of chesed and gvura in the intellect, in the mind, מתפשט הדעת אחר כך במידות. Then the Das now is extended in the midos, and the kolel sham gamken lechesed ugvura shebalev, and there it will include there also the chesed and the gvura in the heart. שלא ינטה לימין ושמאל רק כפי אופן הטיית הדעת במידות שבשכל דווקא. So when the Das now has to mashpia to the lev, the Das has to mashpia to the heart, that the heart should not lean too much to the right or too much to the left. Rather, the heart should follow exactly according to the leaning of the mind. Through the midos, how? In the midos of the seichel dafka. What are the midos of the seichel?
Tvuna?
Yes.
Tvuna?
Yes, Israel Sava and Tvuna, which means the moichin of the seichel, just look at the concept itself. Like the concept itself, there is no chalukah yet, there is no division to yes or no, good, bad. But then the midas of the seichel is already the way the seichel leans to chesed, or the seichel leans to gvura. The seichel thinks something is good, yes, something is no. But it's all in the mind still. That's the midas of chokhmah, or the midas of bina. Israel Saba, that's the midos of Chokhmah, and the midos of Zvuna, of Bina is Zvuna. It's the application of the Seichel, the therefore of the Seichel. The therefore means I should support it or I should negate it. So now the Das has to make sure that now that when the mind, the Chesed Gvura and the mind are becoming midos, which means love and hate, love and rejection. They should be exactly a reflection of how the mind thought of that subject. Not too much, not too much more to the right, to the chesed, and not too much more to the left, too much to the left, to the no. And therefore, lo intele yamin u'shmol. Rak, the heart should follow exactly kefi ofen hatayat hadas. The heart should follow exactly how the das, how the consciousness leans to, how the midah shebesechel dafka, to the midah shebesechel. When the sechel tells us yes, no, chesed gvura, I like, I don't like, this is good, this is bad, sechel tells me, and the heart should follow that, and that exact reflection of the scale of the decision of the scale between chesed and gvura of the mind, which is done in the das, is now the reflection of that in the emotions, is tiferes. Tiferes is that scale that comes to the final blend between chesed and gvura in the middle, between love and rejection. והוא, או ירא, או fear, והוא בחינת התפארת, שמקבל מן הדס. The תפארת receives from the das. So the תפארת will follow, the scale of Tiferet will follow the same policy, so to speak, of the decision of Das, according to what the mind decided. B'bchinas kava emtzai, and it all happens in the middle line. All this is happening in the middle line, kayadua is known, שהוא בחינת הטייס אופן הכרעת החסד וגבורה שבמידות. The kava emtzai, the middle line, is the way the leading is done in making the resolution and the decision between chesed and gvura in the midos. Lo bechesed yoter midai velo bedin yoter midai. To reach the right blend, that it shouldn't be a divine blend, really. The blend that reflects truth, that is not too much chesed and not too much gvura, like raising kids. Not too much permissible and not too much prohibited. ועד כמה פעמים מתקלל ומתמזג דבר והיפוכו, and now in the middles we have the scale going back and forth, up and down, and many times there has to be inclusions and kind of cooperation and inter-reaction between the right and the left, with the one thing and its opposite, שהם חסד וגבורה שבלב. עד שבאה בחינת ההכרעה במידות, until the final decision is made in the middle, שהוא מידת התפארת כידוע, which is the middle line, the תפארת in the middle. וכן מבחינת המידות שבלב. So this is in the middle. Now the person will have the emotional, the personal stand and attitude towards that subject or that object. How he feels towards it. Now it goes weiter. We went to first triangle of the mind, to the second triangle, Chesed Gvura Tiferet, to the middle. Now we're going to Netzach Hod Yesod. וכן מבחינת המידות שבלב, כאשר צריך לבוא גילוי השפע למקבל. When there has to be, now from the middot שבלב, okay, I feel love. Now it has to be translated to action. This love has to be, or the opposite, has to be expressed to the mekabel, to the recipient, to the other. How do you express it? A love has to be weighed here. What? How much? When? וכן מבחינת המידות שבלב, כאשר צריך לבוא גילוי השפע למקבל, when now the shefa has to be specifically expressed to the mekabel, it can be expressed also verbally, whatever expression it would have in the levushim. It could be verbally. You have to weigh what you will say. You cannot say too much. Yesterday you want to say somebody you love, so you have to say how much they will be able to receive from you. Maybe you love them so much, if you tell them how much you love them, they'll run away. Maybe you say so little, they will feel not appreciated. You have to weigh, you have to know the makabel, and you have to weigh in your practical triangle. You have to in a scale. You have to weigh how should the hashpa'ah be between chesed and gvura. מתייעץ בעצמו. He consults with himself. איך להשפיע לו. How to משפיע. וגם שכבר נמדד השיעור במידה ממוצעת, במזיגה נכונה בליבו, בבחינת הכרעה, שהוא בבחינת התפארת. Even though and the measuring was done already in his emotion, in his midos, in the right blend, how much chesed, how much gvura, how much, I want to give, how much I don't want to give. All this was done already in Tiferet. Bivchinat Achra. It was done, it was resolved. Kanal, as we said. Mikol makom, nevertheless, בשעה שצריך להמשיך דבר השפע מעצמוסו למקבל, when a person, and this is בכלל, it's not for now, but it's a very important stage, the last stage of when a person has to now mamshich the shefa from himself to the other, to the recipient, שנקרא נצח והוד, and now to weigh that, how to create that practical השפעה, that is created by נצח והוד, כידוע, הרי חוזר מחדש להתיישב מחדש, בייחוס אופן הילוך וגילוי השפע הזאת, למקבל. Then again, the person anew, he is now weighing again, to weigh in his mind, להתיישב, to figure out, anew, בייחוס, how to the shefa will flow and how it will be revealed when now he will express it to the makabel. There has to be a reassessment and a reweighing of how to express what was resolved in the middle actually is practically to the makabel. כמו במשל עסק המשא ומתן. Like in this business example that the Rebbe gave before, when he weighs in his mind whether or not to get into his business, so first it was an idea, he went back and forth, and the opposite, and back and back, the scale was up and down, until he decided yes. Then in his mind, then he has to now want it in his heart. It has to personally, okay, I love it, I don't love it, I want it, I don't want it, okay, but my mind tells me it's good, okay, fine, I love it, I love the idea, I want to follow. Now there has to be, fine, immediately decided, yes, I'm behind this idea. Fine, I'm personally now backing it up, I want it, I love it, I'm leaning towards it, chesed, fine. And with some reservations, gvura, I got to my psak, fine. But now, when I actually have to weigh how it will look like, now I have to mamash engage in creating this business. Oh, now it's a whole new weighing. What needs to happen now? A new weighing. כמו במשל עסק המשא ומתן, business, שגם שהוחלט אצלו הכרעת העניין במידות שבספר, that even when it was already resolved in him, in the middle of his mind, and the middle שבלב, and the middle of the heart. מכל מקום, nevertheless, כשבא לידי מעשה העסק בפועל ממש, when it comes to the practical business, the מעשה is to build the business itself, מתיישב ומתייעץ תחילה, איך ובאיזה אופן יהיה העסק. He is now again figuring out and weighing in his mind and consulting with his mind and maybe with others too. איך ובאיזה אופן, how, in what way the business should be. והמעשה, and how it should take place. משום זה בשביל מעשה. And why is it? This is another inyan here. It's not exactly the topic now in Shaar Hayichud, but you should know that the inyan of Yesod, Netzach Hod Yesod, is a very powerful stage. The last stage is a very, very intense stage. In the sexual interaction is when the Yesod cannot hold himself anymore. Because the end of the Ashpah and a good Yesod by every person is the ability to focus and to direct the Ashpah in such a way that it should permeate the receiver and create fruits and to be fruitful and focus and not just to be wasted. So it's a big thing, this last way, how to do everything and not to waste and to do it in a divine, precise way. So now this is בשביל מייסה שהוא עיקר גמר הדבר. The מייסה, now the last triangle, which is the weighing of the Netzach and Yesod and now it's the last resolution of Yesod, is the Ikar Gmar HaDavar, is the main end of this whole process that began in the scaling of Das in the mind, continuing with the scaling of Tiferet in the middle, and now we are bringing it to Maisa, which is why all the previous stages took place. It's the purpose. It's like Dira B'Tachtonim. Now it's Maisa, the Mitzvah B'Poal. Now it's Maisa B'Poal. The Rebbe always emphasizing Maisa Ha'ikar. And therefore Tzarich Mechadash Enu. It needed to להתייעץ באחוז המזיגה הנכונה, אחוז המזיגה הנכונה. One should re-weigh and reconcile the quality of the right blending between Chesed and Gvura when it comes to the practical manifestation. Ki sham hu ha'ikar, because there is the main thing. Le'oto sof ma'aseh chulu, because it's the final act. And so too, כך, באל שצריך להשפיע לתלמיד, when one has to משפיע to a תלמיד, אז מתייעץ בכי טוב מחדש, באיכוס האיסקללוס מחסד וגבורה. Remember how we heard that the Alter Rebbe spent 6 weeks to weigh, to sheikel, to weigh in his mind and to write a word with a vav or without a vav in the Tanya. How to משפיע, anything perfect, איסקללוס חסד וגבורה, כמו איך וכמה יקצר, ואיך וכמה יאריך. How and how much should it be brief, and how much should be lengthy. באופן שיהיה מסקבל במקבל בחיתום, in a manner that it should be received and integrated by the recipient in the best way, על האופן היותר טוב, and in the ideal manner. וזהו בחינת כליות יועצות. These are the advising kidneys, נצח and הוד, איך להשפיע. How to משפיע. וגם, also, next page, שכבר יתייעץ בבחינת הדעת שבחסד וגבורה שבשכל ובמידוס כנ"ל, אין זה רק בהשפע עצמה, איך תהיה בכמותה ובאיכותה, אבל היא עדיין בבחינת מהות שכל לעצמו. So the Rebbe says that now let's look at what happens in these klayot yoatzot. Klaya is a kidney. Kaf lamed yud hey. Klayos. Klaya is a kidney. Klayot yoatzot, yoetz, advising kidneys. Klaya is female. Kidneys are female. Ech lashpia. The Rebbe says that even though that you already resolved in your das, in the Chesed Gvura in your mind, you already reached a resolution. We are on page Reish Lamed, first line and second line. And also you reached already a resolution in your middle. You are in peace with the idea, and you are personally supporting it. You are all resolved within you. Ein ze rak b'shefa atzma. This is all regarding the shefa itself, meaning איך תהיה בכמותה ואיכותה. You already got clarity how will be what you want to give in kamus ve'echus. In kamus, how much you want to give, and in echus, you know what you want to give. אבל היא עדיין בבחינת מהות שכל לעצמו. But it's all in the mind to himself, his own לעצמו, וגם שמקטינה מפני צמצום כלי המקבל כנ"ל. And even though he is in his mind, he is already reducing his השפעה and adjusting his השפעה to the measures of the kli of the recipient, אך עדיין אינו רוצה להשפיע בפועל ממש, רק שעולה בדעתו. It's a process. in the beginning, the person doesn't want to mashpia mamash. He doesn't want to actually give yet. He's weighing in his mind. He begins to want. He's in his mind. He now is thinking that he wants to give. אבל עדיין אינו רוצה להשפיע בפועל ממש. At that point, he doesn't really want to actually give yet. רק שעולה בדעתו. It only comes up in his mind שכשיצטרך להשפיע. That when he will have to give, then he will have to concise his idea and his feelings and translate it into something specific. על כן מקטינה במאוסה, and he will have to reduce it to something specific that will be smaller than a broad idea. מה שאין כן בא, it's all in himself, in his mind, in his heart, it's all within himself. But מה שאין כן בשעה שצריך להשפיע אותה בפועל ממש, when this is not the case, when one has to actually do the act of השפעה, בפועל ממש, in actuality, either בדיבור או במעשה, which means he wants to say what he feels or what he knows, or he wants to do something that reflects what he knows or what he wants. אז אין עיקר העצה במזיגות והסקללוס. Then the main consulting is not how much chesed hamagvura in terms of the hashpah itself. That already you did before. Now the only focus is איך להשפיע ולגלות השפע. How to משפיע and how to reveal the shefa, ולא בגוף השפע, and not what the shefa should be. Not what you want to give, but how to give it. Not בגוף השפע כלל, because שגוף השפע כבר נמדד בדעת ותפארת. The shefa itself, what you, and how much you want to transmit, that already was decided in your mind and in your heart. But now you want to figure out how to mashpia and how to reveal the shefa. That is already something that happens outside of yourself. וזהו בחינת נצח והוד, and this is the weighing that happens in נצח והוד, שנקראות כליות יועצות, that are called advising kidneys, and that's why the expression in Hebrew is musar klayos, when you feel guilty, when one feels ashamed or guilt, it says musar klayos, that these kidneys are rebuking him, that the kidneys are weighing everything and judging. So it's a scale. Scale is the end of judgment. You know, the astrological image of Libra, you know, the mother of justice is a scale, you know. So, Klayos Yoatzos, Netzach and Hod are called advising kidneys. Rak, what are they weighing? Only איך להשפיע ולגלות השפע. How to משפיע and how to reveal and transmit this shefa, שלזה צריך בחינת מזיגה והסקללוס מחדש. For that you need a new weighing and a new blending between chesed and gvura, how exactly to drive it through. והוא גם כן כלול מדבר והיפוכו. And this also will include one thing and the opposite. כמה פעמים כנ"ל בדעת ותפארת חולו. You will go back and forth again, like you did in דעת and in תפארת, how much yes and how much no, when you will weigh how to actually משפיע. And you will have to weigh, you know, maybe you want to knock at his door 20 times because you're so excited. But the no will say, no, only knock 3 times, you know. And you'll find maybe you'll on one time, and then the final decision would be to knock 3 times. Whatever, everything has to be weighed again. עד שבא לבחינת אופן מיוחד שהוא הראוי להיות בהסגלות השפע למקבל. Until he comes to this specific manner in which he finds that this is the proper way, in the right way, to be revealed, that the shefa, how the shefa should be revealed and given to the מקבל. ואותו הדבר שיוצא מאמצעות מזיגת נצח והוד, and this what comes out of the weighing and the blending between נצח and הוד, הוא כמו בחינת הכרעה שבדעת ותפארת בעצם השפע. Is just as there was a הכרעה, as there was a resolution, a decision, in the higher stages, in דעת and תפארת, regarding עצם השפע, regarding the שפע itself, what and how much, and so on. Now there is a new weighing in terms of how to transmit it and how to give it. וזהו בחינת יסוד. This is yesod. Yesod is a very important faculty in a person. It's your ability to concentrate. It's your ability to focus. It's your ability to gather all the blendings that were done in the higher faculties and now direct it in a way that it should bear fruit. So this is בחינת יסוד שהוא כמו התפארת לגבי חסד וגבורה, או כמו הדעת לגבי חסד וגבורה שבשכל. So יסוד, just as תפארת is in relation to chesed and gvura in the midos, and das is in relation to chesed and gvura in sechel, so too yesod is in relation to chesed and gvura of netzach and hod. ונמצא בבחינת יסוד, so what do we find? That in יסוד is the סיום כל המזיגוס והאסקללוס שבדעת ותפארת ונצח והוד. In יסוד is the end of all the blendings and the inter-inclusion of דעת and תפארת ונצח and הוד, דהיינו, meaning שבו לא נשאר רק כדי שפע הנצרך להשפיע למקבל. The only thing that is remaining yesod is just the shefa that is needed for the sake of the recipient. כפי שיוכל שש ובאופן המשתרך. According to how much the recipient can bear, can tolerate, and in the right manner, how it's needed. וכל מה שהיה תחילה בדעת ותפארת ונצח והוד, לא היה רק עדיין בעצמיוס המשפיע. Everything that was first in דעת and in תפארת and נצח והוד was still in the משפיע himself. במזיגות שונות, different blendings between חסד and גבורה, איך שיהיה השפע בעצם מעושה. How the שפע will be, ואיך תבוא לידי גילוי למקבל, and how it should be given to the מקבל, how it should, what I want to give, how I want to give it. But, אבל בבחינת יסוד, כבר בא המשחס וגילוי השפע לחוץ. In יסוד, the שפע is actually now coming to be revealed outward, לחוץ מן העצם המשפיע. Outside of the משפיע himself, מאחר שבו אינו רק כפי הנצרך למקבל השפע, ולא יותר. Because in יסוד, can be only what is needed for the recipient of the shefa and not more.